Right, so welcome back again to my channel, everyone. So this will be your second class for theoretical approaches to gender development. Again, we will have more theories to discuss. Now we were done with biological theory, okay, and now we're going to focus more in the interpersonal theories of gender. Now, as you can see again, just to have a recap, the theory is to describe, explain, predict relationships among phenomena. So this is not just all about having an explanation for something, but also more like describing and predicting a certain phenomena. Also, theories are also a framework of a certain study. So it is very important for you as well to have theories when it comes to doing research and all. Now, since we're going to focus more on the interpersonal theories of gender, so a number of theorists have focused on interpersonal factors that influence the development of masculinity and femininity. Their work has led to development of two major theoretical views that shed light on how individuals viewed their gender. Of course, previously we talked about more on the biological approach of gender. Okay, we talk about about how hormones, chromosomes, and the parts of our brain affect our gender development. Now we're going to focus more on relationships or interpersonal theories of gender. Now, as you can see here, we're going to focus more on the psychodynamic theories of gender development. Okay, so psychodynamic theories assume that relationships, especially the earliest ones, are central to human development. For most children, the first important relationship is with the primary caretaker, typically the mother. Okay, psychodynamic theory claims that this first relationship fundamentally influences how an infant comes to define her or his identity, including gender. So as you can see here, the basic concept of this theory is that whoever or on what manner or degree was your relationship during your early childhood. This is not just all about gender, but this is also you know not just focusing on gender, but also discusses more on whatever or whoever you are right now, your childhood experiences and the way your guardians or parents raised you has an effect on who you are and what you are right now. That's very simple as that. Okay, so psychodynamic really explains here on how your relationship with your parents affect your gender identity when you grow up. Now, some psychodynamic theorists think that infants develop a sense of self and a gender identity as they internalize the views of other people around them during the early years. So, for example, infants who are lovingly nurtured by their parents tend to internalize the parents. So, as you can see here, the proper nurturing of a certain young person can really affect your gender development. And as what I've said earlier, it's not just all about gender development, but how you bring and brought yourself as of the moment or to the present time. Okay. In addition, parents' tendencies to nurture, compete, cooperate, express affection, and so forth are internalized so that the child develops these capacities as part of herself or himself. Internalizing others is not merely acquiring roles, but it also creates the basic structure of psyche, which is the core self. So, for example, when you were young, you were guided and you were guided by your parents, okay, by the way they act in front of you, by how they move, speak, or whatever they do during your early young stage could also affect you when you grow up. Most of the time, infants imitate their parents, and sometimes a part of them when they grow up is also a carbon copy of their parents as well. So internalizing others is not just really all about acquiring a role, maybe a son, a daughter, a father, a mother in the future, or a sibling with your brothers or sisters. But it's also all about creating your own psyche, your core self, your foundation of characteristics, your root cause of your personality, your fuel for behavior. and your attitude towards your stimulus or external factors as well. Okay, so as you can see here, when you try to really identify your soji, remember our first discussions when it's all about soji, a part of it is something that was really part of your early childhood years. So it doesn't mean that you are close to your parents or to your mother. As a young man, you will become part of the LGBT or the opposite. It's not really like that, but it's really more about how you internalize your parents' method of raising you up um, in your own context. Now, psychodynamic theory explains the development of masculine or feminine identity as the result of different kinds of relationships that typically exist between mothers and children of each sex. Okay. Now, why do you think that we mention mothers and children most of the time? Because mothers has the ability to really have, not really the ability, but has the primary parenting responsibilities. Okay, as you all know, during the primitive times or the old times, women are just supposed to be staying at home, doing household chores, taking care of their children, while men are supposed to work for their family. During the old times as well, women are underprivileged of education and other roles of having a career, but instead they were forced and they were stigmatized just to focus more on the household chores and being a mother, caring and taking care of their children. Okay, that's why the theory of psychodynamic really emphasizes that women rather than men have primary parenting responsibilities as well. Okay, so in Western society, because the mother herself is gendered, she may act differently towards sons and daughters. Consequently, male and female infants follow distinct developmental paths that reflect sons and daughters' distinct relationships with their mothers. So, how do you think most young boys formulate a masculine gender, even though they are much, receiving, receiving parenting guidance and care from their mother during the old times, because they cannot define it through their relationship with their mothers, as daughters typically do. Boys tend to pursue a different path. Okay, to establish his independent identity, a boy must differentiate himself from his mother. So he must declare that he is not like her. Of course, whether a boy rejects his mother or merely differentiates himself from her, defining himself as a different from her is essential to the initial development of a masculine identity. Okay, so keep in mind that we're discussing general. Okay, so please be please do not really feel like you were discriminated, especially for boys. It's not really like that. Remember, this psychodynamic theories of gender development was developed a way long ago. So its approach was originally from the old times. Okay, so it doesn't mean that as per the theory here, women has more parenting responsibilities and skills than men. Okay, it's not really everyone, but these were based. These theory was really based on the primitive side of our age. Okay, so as you can see here, boys should declare that they are not like their mothers. Okay, that's why boys have a typically different paths, not unlike daughters who see their mother as a role model, as someone they want to be in the future. Most of the time, daughters are molded by how their mother approaches them or take care of them or nurture them. Okay, not unlike boys, since they already established this I'm not a girl but I'm a boy, they tend to have different paths. Okay, so they establish independency, they establish this identity as someone people can rely on, and so on and so forth. Now, for this one, okay, All right. So yeah. So on and so forth. Now, as you can see here, that is why it is very important for all of you to really at least try to think how were you raised up or nurtured. Maybe because the way your parents or guardians nurtured you is, you know, how it explains why are you like that. Okay, what is your identity as of the moment? You should try to question yourself about that, because sometimes whatever is your characteristics right now are not just purely external, but sometimes it's intrinsic, it's primitive, it's historical, it's chronological. So please do really make sure that at some point you really have to understand the situation where you belong. Okay, so as you can see here, this theory was really has an approach of the early times. So that's why it explains here that mother has really the more parenting responsibilities than boys, because during the old times again, women are not privileged to go to school, nor their role was really to have a family, to work at home, to really just take care of their children. Not unlike in today's generation, we have a lot of empowered women. Okay, we already had a president who is a woman, and other political figure as well. Right. So that is it. Okay. So again, if you have any more questions, please comment on the comment section below, and please don't forget to subscribe to my channel.